So 9 hidden social unease behaviors that are actually caused by childhood trauma. Not everyone who feels socially uncomfortable or hypervigilant appear to be cringy or awkward. Some of you may be, or someone you know that might be what I call fake extrovert. That is someone who seems to get along with everybody and who navigate socializing very well, even skillfully. But secretly, you feel exhausted from faking the warmth towards other people while secretly keeping your emotional distance out of the deep mistrust of people. That is one of the social unease behaviors caused by hypervigilance from childhood trauma, because you're trying to manage your anxiety and uncomfortable feeling you feel around people because you don't trust them. And also it creates a false sense of connection. It makes you fit into your own definition of normal, because for people with CPTSD, we're so tired of feeling different. We often are preoccupied with, saying the appropriate things, doing the right thing, behaving well. In fact, we could get so good at faking it that everyone thinks that they are close to us. They even think that we love them, we love people and we're easy to be around. But actually, we are afraid of people. We're terrified of being judged or being criticized and rejected by people. We fear that they might hurt us. That is why many years ago, we have built up this rigid fences around our hearts to prevent us from being hurt again. Nobody's allowed to be close to the vulnerable and authentic, real parts of ourselves. The second one is what I call new people syndrome. You may have noticed this yourself, that when you're around old friends, like people you're familiar with and you trust, it's okay to relax yourself, right? You can have fun with them. You may show up even in a very funny or goofy ways because you don't fear them judging you. But with the presence of new people, especially someone that you're not sure if they like you or not, you're not sure how they're going to respond to you, what's your attitude toward you, you tend to guard yourself up. You tend to be extra hypervigilant, usually with hidden hostility towards them. The confusion here is that sometimes those people don't even matter to you, you don't even like them, but you just couldn't really control yourself from constantly focusing outward, scanning the environment, reading their body languages, facial expressions, or tones, or attitudes, and predict 5 steps ahead. It actually makes so much sense if you grew up around emotionally unstable, unpredictable parents, because you have no clue what to expect next. I used to live with my narcissistic father who has a humongous temper. I just tiptoe around him because it's just kind of scary. If you have seen him flip like that, how do you know which face to expect? If this is going to be the loving one or the face with the cold and rejecting attitude that scares you, there's no way you could figure out. So you have to cultivate the habit of reading cues and predict. So now, even though you're around safe people, you still have this chronic unease with constant doubts. You're not sure how long they could be this good to you, how long it's gonna take for them, before they just flip like your father. Sometimes even at the thought of having unexpected interactions exhausts you, because it seems like something you need to show up for, you need to prepare for, so you tend to avoid them. Like when you take out the trash and you see your neighbor out there, you would wait till they're gone to avoid chit-chat. Or when the phone suddenly rings or somebody texts you, you would delay responding to avoid back and forth chat, because it's just exhausting. Consciously, it's not difficult. It's just chatting, you can nail it. You couldn't help but feeling the resistance inside and the looming anxiety tied to interactions, because your brain sees interactions as threats. That is why it sends you a signal to avoid. So here is the dilemma for people with CPTSD. We often feel lonely from isolation. We crave deep connections, right? But our survival instincts limit our life to what's known, what's familiar, and that is what we see as safe. This creates avoidance that further isolates us, and this is a pattern that we need to be aware of. The fourth one is that you tend to have this secret competitive wish to be special. Growing up around households where love and attention are not stable, we sort of have this mentality of lack. We are eager to prove ourselves by trying to occupy a favorable position or a special position in someone else's hearts. So in social occasions, you often had this secret wish that you would be responded in a positive way at all time, and people should always treat you in a special way. They should notice your value all the time. So when people fail to do so, you would take it personally, you feel let down somehow, or you may just completely lose interest in connections and you withdraw, you shut down. For example, if the host is not being as welcoming to you as to other people, or when the waitress makes more eye contact to your friend than to you, just whenever you feel not particularly welcomed or not treated special enough, you're going to feel this thing. You would start doubt yourself, even though sometimes you know it's meaningless. Some of you might go into defensive denial like how I used to. You're not even that special. I don't even want to be your friend. I don't even like socializing. Why do I care? Another bitchy strategy that I used back in college was that whenever someone fails to pay special attention to me, when they ignore me, I would laugh really loud. I would make those exaggerating and sudden movements to catch their attention, because I feel that I have failed to get their attention. Like maybe I'm not pretty enough, maybe I'm not special enough, so I need just do anything to get their attention to make me feel a little bit better, a little bit worthier. Number 5, you tend to think that it's all about you. In social occasions, it's very easy for us to get stuck in our head, being super self-conscious and preoccupied with thoughts like, is my hair okay? Did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Am I being too needy or whatever? One thing I often do is I would just constantly play with my hair, and I would check out myself in every mirror that I walk past by, because I think if people are constantly judging me and observing me, being self-conscious is driven by this deep insecurity and anxiety around people. With hypervigilance, you're often able to detect the nuanced changes in the air, including people's facial expressions or tones or walking style. And that can all be used for you to conclude that, it's about me. I did something, I said something wrong. I've talked to my therapist about this for many times because I did this all my life. I usually took the blame for everything. But I found out that this is a very typical pattern for people with CPTSD, because we usually have parents that are very emotionally immature. It means that their attitudes toward us can drastically change due to how they feel about themselves, due to their mood. So we learn that, people's reaction is who we are. If they react us in a good way, then we're good, we're okay, we're safe. If not, we need to change. We need to make conscious effort, try harder to please people so that when they're okay, that we could be okay. Number 6 is jumpiness. Your hypervigilance get activated immediately whenever there are sudden loud sounds or noises. For example, maybe the delivery man knocking on your door when you're actually expecting that package. I used to be someone who would hide behind the doors until they're gone because it just frightened me. I know it's safe, I know they're just delivering my package, but I just couldn't really handle the shock. Or when your sister starts to talking to you suddenly, unexpectedly, even though you know she's at home, you still get this shock throughout your body. What really annoys us is that we know consciously it's probably nothing and we're being too sensitive because we see others, they can just be chill, they can relax, they can rewind when it's needed, but it's just hard for us to let our guard down and drop this hypervigilance. But you need to know that this heightened startle reflex is not our fault. It's not within our conscious control. It's how our nervous system got wired through many years of unsafe experiences. And now you can learn to regain this sense of safety within yourself, to interrupt and build new patterns. Number 7 is that you often feel like an outsider in social occasions. With lots of your energy going to hypervigilance and everything going on in your head, you may feel exhausted, you may feel really, distracted. That adds to your loneliness that you don't really belong here. Like nobody is like you. They don't really get you. You feel like an outsider. You feel like an alien. And to others, you may seem really detached or uninterested. They may see you as unwilling to bond. Some people are very welcoming, so they try to pull you back in. They try to engage you. They try to, invite you back to the conversations. But others may be very sensitive. They may have their own mini traumas. They may have the false perception that you don't like them. You don't enjoy the party. You don't like the event. So they might stop inviting you. In my experience, this is what often happens. We think others don't like us, they don't invite us, but actually it's us unintentionally sending out signals that we don't need connections. We don't like people, don't stay away from me, I don't need you. And that further isolates us. The next one is that you tend to be highly rejection sensitive, and that is what makes you feel exhausted all the time in social occasions, because we feel like we have to constantly perform. We have to constantly show up 100% so that people could love us. And it's not acceptable for us to be disliked, to be poorly performed. The majority of our energy is not devoted to being spontaneous and being happy and relaxing and chill. Instead, our energy goes into looking for evidence that people accept us, or looking for evidence that we're performing 100%. With magnifying glasses, even neutral event or signs can be read as negative or rejecting. For example, a girl lays her eyes on you and quickly moves on. If you ask your friend, this could be because of a million reasons, right? But you would often stick to your original theory that probably this girl doesn't like your hairstyle or doesn't like the way you walk. But really, this might happen in past interactions with our parents when they try to nitpick everything you do, when they try to make random comments about your dressing style or the way you walk, which is not necessarily true or applicable to current situations. Really, right now, we don't need everyone to like us to live our life or to feel safe. The number 9 is that we tend to easily misperceive or catastrophize tension in the air. Social occasions are very exhausting for us because it's easy for us to get affected by negative vibes or perceived negative vibes and other people's moods. For example, when others seem unhappy or anxious, when there are harmless jokes that nobody takes seriously, or mini disagreements, you will be all tensed up. You will be ready to cover your ears, or you are ready to jump in and reconcile and lighten up the mood of everyone. You also tend to catastrophize everything, thinking that big things are going to happen, because based on childhood experiences, that is often how it happens. Parents arguing loudly, slamming doors, leaving. Parents often don't do this intentionally. They are often unaware how their arguing scenes, how their blank or angry faces could leave an imprint in the vulnerable and helpless child. We could be spending the majority of our lives being hypervigilant and try to prevent anything like that ever happen again. If you're interested in videos like over-apologizing, over-explaining, and over-sharing, I have a playlist about it. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.